Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Well, we're back with something we haven't done in 3.5 months, I think.
It's time, too. I think
for a message from the universe.
Yeah, we could all use a message.
Before we dive into this message, and we did it's like a big one. We've got 2 different
decks, actually.
Yeah, we've got like a whole 2 readings that you could choose from here. I wanted to check in about the challenge that we instituted a week ago. So if you haven't listened to our side chat from last Friday about how we're not going to have any more expectations for 2020, I want you guys to go back and listen to that. And I wanted to share that it's not as easy for me as I thought it was going to be.
And you didn't think it was going to be easy.
No, but I found myself doing these mental loops where I'm like, oh, if I don't have expectations, then good things will happen. I'm like, shit, that's an expectation. I'm like, ooh, if I don't have expectations, then all this good stuff is going to happen. I'm like, oh no.
You have to give up even that.
And then some people, some of my clients, when I talk to them about this, they're like, yeah, I think I'm good at I think I can do the not having big expectations for the rest of this year. But I think I'm going to have a hard time with daily expectations. Like how this meeting is supposed to go even. Or, what's supposed to happen today, just today, or even this hour,
Well, I feel like let's start with what you can do and work your way up. If you can let go of the big stuff for now, great. That's a good start.
Sure.
And then
sometimes that's harder. And I think it's different for different people.
It's true. For some people, they can let go of the daily stuff, but the big stuff, they kind of gripping hard onto and vice versa.
Yeah. I think it's just I grip onto all of it.
As we always say, like, just start with what's easiest and work your way up. I don't expect you to tackle the biggest, hardest thing first. That's asking a lot of yourself. But if you can let go of something that feels a little bit easier to let go of, and you're like, okay, that wasn't so hard. Okay, what about this? What about that?
I have noticed, though, it's not been all bad. There's been a challenge, but I have noticed that even if I wake up with an expectation for what the day is going to look like, that an hour later, something will happen that completely changes what I thought the day was going to look like. Mm-hmm. Positive, negative, again, sometimes just weird, not bad, not good, just different. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like neutral equals weird in my mind. And that, in a way, so you could either be kind of annoyed by that, like, oh my God, you can literally never predict anything. Or you could be like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. In a way that you can wake up thinking it's going to look one way and then things can change and it can look another. And that means that things can change at any point for you in a positive direction.
It does help you realize, like, what's even the point of having all these expectations if an hour later the day has completely morphed?
Yeah.
So it can have you asking those questions. Like, why am I doing this to myself? It's creating a lot of stress and anxiety.
Yeah.
And it's not actually doing anything.
I really torture myself with expectations. I do.
It's hard. It's hard not to.
It's bad. So anyway, I'm just realizing just how deeply ingrained that is. And having to pay attention to it is making me more aware of all the times that I do that.
In case you haven't heard it, we'll link to it. So you can
also
go back.
It would be so easy because it was the last. It was like 2 episodes back. No, not 1 down, 2 down.
2 down.
But like a week ago. I think you can find it. It was a week ago.
So if you haven't listened, go listen and let us know what you're going to try to let go of for the rest of this year.
Oh, okay. So here's what we did. We have 2 different decks. One is a traditional tarot deck and one is called, what is it called?
The Enchanted Map.
by Colette Baron Reed.
That's right.
So
They're Oracle cards.
This Oracle card deck was a gift from one of our longtime listeners.
Yeah. So we're excited to use it on the podcast.
This is the first time we're using it on the podcast. So what I would say is pick your deck. Do you like the traditional like Rider-Waite tarot deck for your a little classic, or would you like something a little interesting and different, the Enchanted Map?
And these are not going to be your normal tarot characters by any means. This is going to be just whatever message you need to hear.
But each reading has, so we pick 3 cards for each. So it's going to be
choose your deck, and then whatever deck you choose, that's going to be your reading.
Yeah. Or I don't know, just hear both and decide which one you like. I mean, free will is everything as well. All right. So which one do you want to start with?
You go first.
Okay. So I was the one who drew the tarot card. So I will read. So these interpretations are coming from Madeline Joan. I will link to her. She's awesome.
We've interviewed her a couple of times.
No, just once. 2 years ago almost.
Yeah.
But I'll link to that episode, but I'll also just link to her site, and you should follow her at, I think it's just at Madeline Joan. But just if you go to YouTube and you search Madeline Joan,
she's got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, she does very regular YouTube video, and she's super intuitive and accurate with her combo, astrology, tarot.
And she's also just lovely. Like
she's such a delight.
She's a joy.
These card interpretations come from her. Kristen and I are members of her Patreon. And so every day she pulls a card and she sends it with an interpretation of what the card means. And so I figure you got to let an expert interpret the card, because sometimes I'll do a tarot pull and I'm like, cool, what? So we're going to, honestly, sometimes I'll do like past, present, future, or sometimes it's like the energy you're in now, the energy that's available to you, and like the future, where you're going. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be like, here are 3 cards. Let's figure out how to interpret them once we hear them.
I think they might be interpreted a little bit differently for each person.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just not going to do that.
Try to do that for everyone all at once.
So the first card in the tarot is the Queen of Pentacles, which I like for sure as a card. Okay. Are you feeling the serenity and security of taking care of business and taking good care of yourself? Are you able to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor? Are you sharing those fruits generously with others, whether they be financial or in the realm of practical knowledge? Then you're feeling the down-to-earth, practical, and nurturing energy of the Queen of Pentacles. In the classic Rider-Waite imagery, a lone woman sits serenely holding a large gold coin surrounded by lush forest. Flowers spring up at her feet, and a rabbit, the symbol of fertility and spring, leaps into the frame from behind her golden throne. Well, when the Queen of Pentacles, the queen of the suit of money and material resources, appears, look for a protective, caring, and practical person who helps foster others figuratively or literally. Is it you or someone around you? Either way, when a court card shows up in our reading and in our lives, it's because we're meant to encounter this aspect in ourselves. The Queen of Pentacles is a provider, whether she's bringing home the bacon, doing literal charity work, or pointing out the talents and potentials of others to help them succeed in their own right. She is sensual, secure, and generous, a real earth mother. She has more than enough, and she'll share it with you. Let the Queen of Pentacles help you discover and cultivate your skills, then pay the blessings forward.
It's one of my favorite cards, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next one, which is 5 of Swords. I don't interpret this one as a positive card when I get it most of the time, but we're going to find out what it means in context.
A little bit different vibe here.
When you've struck out on your own, fighting for yourself and your independence above all else and all others, you have encountered the energy of the 5 of Swords. A lone figure smiles derisively as he collects the swords of his compatriots who have turned their back on him and their weapons to walk away. He's happy with his win, but he's alone. Strong winds blow through the image, indicating the sweeping change that this behavior brings about. The 5 of Swords certainly indicates selfishness. The question is, are you justifiably looking out for yourself, perhaps after a violation of trust or repeated abuse? Or are you sacrificing your reputation, integrity, or relationships to pursue a course that you desire above all else? No one in the image is beaten or bloodied because swords represents thoughts, words, and ideas. Who or what might you be cutting out on your way to where you're going? Whether you're striking out on your own with good reason or suffering from a selfish lapse in judgment, notice how you may be isolating yourself from others, which could build tension that eventually leads to conflict and hostility. Victory at all costs is no victory at all. Be sure you know what you truly want from all of this.
What's interesting about the 2 of these is both of them have a lot to do with resourcefulness. but one is much more generous and one is much more self-serving. It almost makes me wonder if people have a choice here, right? Like if you have a lot of, if you're being really resourceful, which maybe this year you've had to be, you could choose to win at all costs, or you could choose to share what you win and provide for yourself and others.
So I think the third card will help us to discern. And it is the Hierophant. When we desire to or must submit to some long-standing authority, philosophy, or tradition in order to progress, we encounter the Hierophant. An undoubtedly religious figure, often referred to as the Pope of the Tarot, instructs two acolytes, indicating that some knowledge and skills can only be gained through the institutions and organizations who practice them, whether they come from a house of worship, a place of learning, or a strictly regimented gym. The Hierophant represents the structure and weight of institutional authority and alerts us to times when we must work within traditional boundaries, regardless of our own inclinations. Are you struggling to maintain your individuality while still following the rules, whether they come from your parents, teachers, or spiritual mentors? There's a vast well of knowledge available to you if you're willing to work within certain boundaries now. Take time to benefit from the knowledge of others' dedicated study. Whether it means picking up a book to learn about a topic, seeking instruction from a teacher, a priest, or even a tarot reader, tap into the valuable teachings of those that have come before you. A little structure will ironically set you free.
This one is interesting. It said, essentially, if you're struggling with balancing individuality and
institutional authority,
right, then, having some structure might help you create that balance. So if you're again, if the question before was generosity versus kind of winning at all costs, how do you balance that? You might need to insert some structure into your life, or you might need to seek some support externally.
Yeah.
By a leader or by a program or by a book or something that can give you a little bit of guidance on how to balance all of this right now.
Yeah, I kind of vibe with the idea that there's like two different energies you could choose from here. And you could either choose to see things as abundant and generous, and that there's more opportunities and no one's taking anything from you, and that you're going to be okay and prosperous no matter what. Or you could see everything as a competition, and you could be,
I got to grab my piece and hoard my share.
And because it's swords, it's like, I got to protect myself, and I've got to like cut other people off, or I've got to, kind of hoard. Yeah. I mean, swords aren't really about hoarding, but you know what I mean? Like, I've got to protect myself. And I think the inclusion of the Hierophant is sort of, I don't usually see the Hierophant as like moderation, but I do see it as sort of, there's a way for you to get what you want, even within the confines of the structure that you're in. And that sometimes I think we think that in order to get what we want, we have to break the structure, or we have to go completely outside, or we have to kind of go to another extreme. And maybe this is like, right now you think the only way for you to get what you want or to protect yourself is to maybe break free and do something radical. And it's like, there might actually be a marriage between you can get what you want and not have to do anything radical. It might actually just require more of a change of attitude than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I also see the Hierophant as it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get guidance from others and kind of look up to people who have maybe figured some stuff out before you.
Yeah.
And say, hey, I'm really struggling. Can you help me balance this? Can you help me figure this out? There's going to be a lot of good teachers near you.
I'm going to take a picture of these three together, as well as Kristen's deck. And you can see that if you want to take a gander. Though these are easier to Google, you can just Google, Tarot, Queen of Pentacles, and the Rider-Waite images are always the ones that kind of come up first.
Yeah.
So,
but you get a lot of different interpretations from different people.
Google, right. Like Google always has kind of like a basic description of each card. So you can also read other interpretations and see if that aligns with you more. But that's just kind of our take on it. All right. I'm excited about this next one because I haven't really seen many of these cards yet.
No, me neither. So, I haven't looked at the cards that I've chosen so far. Right. So we're going to figure it out as we go.
Okay. Card number one.
Card number one is making a choice.
Well, that's interesting. We were just talking about having a choice.
Choices ahead of you.
Okay.
So let's see.
She's finding it in the little book.
Yeah, there's a little book here that's going to tell me. Are these? They've got to be in alphabetical order.
No, they're
here.
in numbered order.
Oh.
And Kristen's just not even paying attention.
I didn't realize they were numbered. Okay.
It's number 30.
Making a choice. You're faced with a dilemma or a fork in the road and must make a conscious choice regarding the next right action. Whatever that choice is, you must take responsibility for it. Yet you needn't be afraid. You may not have all the answers right now because the way ahead can't be known until you've embarked and traveled a few steps. But trust your intuition. Ask for a sign from spirit and you will be led to the right path. If you remain conscious and aware, your choice will be the right one at this time. Life is always about learning. Success lies in choosing consciously, guided by intuition and spirit. I'm like, is the Hierophant spirit?
Maybe.
Seek out guidance for that choice that we just described. These readings aren't supposed to connect, but they're kind of connecting already.
Is your sign from the universe the dog barking while Kristen was trying to read that? God, she's so annoying. All right, card number 2.
Card number 2 is goblins.
Well, I mean,
okay.
I think we all got some.
Let's read about goblins.
Okay.
Goblins are born when you're wounded and something essential is lost in that experience. From that point on, as you forget your wholeness, they remain with you in the shadows. There, they remind you of what brought them into being by mimicking your own voice, tricking you into believing that you're unworthy, victimized, or unlovable. They hold you hostage through low self-esteem, self-sabotage, and the feeling that you're lacking what you need. If goblins pay you a visit, know that they represent the shadow of your own self or someone else's, and that they're leading you into potentially reactive situations. A goblin's card appearance is an opportunity for growth, however, and a signal that you must love yourself. No human is without flaws. The goblin's message is that you must release resentments and negative self-talk. Within you is the spark of the divine. Ask spirit to help you. Miracles can and do happen. Let go of the negativity.
Well, that's a gremlin.
Yeah, we call goblins gremlins.
They're talking about your gremlin might be going a little crazy right now. I'm very interested to see what the third one is because I feel like I have a theory about what it's going to be like.
Okay. I just want to note that this also says ask spirit to help you. So we're like really leaning on getting some
outside
universal
help.
guidance
Yes.
here. Okay.
All right.
Card number 3. Deep freeze.
That's not what I was expecting, though I don't know what I expected because I don't know what the card is. What is that? Is that a lion on the card? It's like a lion in
it's a
snow.
frozen lion next to a lake.
You didn't really describe the goblins card, but it's kind of what you would think. It's like a green forest and there's like a little creature on it.
It looks very much like where a goblin would live.
Okay, well, we'll take pictures of these too.
Deep freeze. The cold winter beckons you to slow down and put a freeze on things that are not yet ready to bloom. It's time for regeneration and hibernation. Forgo ambitious activity. A pregnant pause allows ideas to gestate, projects to shift and change, and relationships to go through a dreamy state of being, not going anywhere, but not needing to. This is also a time to put all your arguments on ice. Nothing beneficial will come from any of them. Self-care is the most important activity now, so reflect, read a good book, or get a massage. Rest and dream.
Oh, damn. That thing just told me to have no expectations for 2020.
And read a book, which is all I want to do for the rest of 2020.
So it's like you have a choice. You can either like be held hostage by your gremlin and freak out and try to control everything, or you can deep freeze and you can chill for a little, literally chill. That's what this card's telling you to chill. And coast. And like let things work themselves out, I think.
Also, what stood out to me was put arguments on hold. And I'm like, maybe put arguments with your goblin on hold, with your self-critic.
Yeah.
Stop being in your own head back and forth, trying to defend yourself and be critical of yourself. Just let that go for now, which part of that is letting expectations go and not being hard on yourself for what does or doesn't happen for the rest of the year. And
Or
just see
really
what wants
anytime.
to bloom and let it bloom in its own time.
I don't like that. I don't like being told that. But it's not surprising that we got this reading.
No.
I feel like I needed that one.
No. And we are going into winter as well. So it's kind of like we're going into a natural hibernation stage in fall and going into winter. So lean into it.
Okay, this was interesting. I like
Yeah.
this. This wasn't what I expected our reading to be, either one of them.
Yeah.
But you get what you need.
I was going for maybe a little bit more
Just
uplifting or hopeful or something.
The universe doesn't care about that. The universe gives you what you need, not what you wanted.
I won't say it wasn't hopeful. It was just a little bit more
I think it was
chill.
more tough love in a
Yeah.
way. It was
Yeah.
like more realistic as opposed to just shiny. And I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
That's fair. And that's pretty indicative of 2020.
Yeah.
We're not doing a lot of shiny, hopeful energy right now.
I mean, I think that I
Hopeful,
think there's
maybe.
hope in all of this.
Hopeful maybe, but shiny and happy.
Well, just like carefree.
We're just not there yet. We're not going there yet.
None of us are carefree right now.
No.
And I think it's okay not to be carefree. So we'd love to know which one you picked and how it resonated with you. And again, we will post pictures of these on the site. So just go to the show notes and there'll be a link to go read the descriptions of each of these as well as see the pictures so that you don't have to go back and re-listen to this. So you can. And of course, I'll link to like this deck, the Enchanted Map deck, if you want to check it out. And I'll also link to Madeline.
Yep.
And just a reminder, as we're wrapping up, we announced last week that we will be doing one-on-one coaching enrollment again. It's going to start in like a week and a half on Tuesday, October 6th.
Yep.
And it'll be going for 10 days. But I'm telling you, the sooner you fill out that form, the sooner the better, because
We have limited space.
I have
at the
limited
moment.
space. I've been doing some Jenga to get everyone on my schedule as it is. And I do have a few people wrapping up, but I'm like, oh, I just can't have like a dearth of people. Also,
Yeah.
I
We
kind
usually
of
try to open up our schedules a little bit more intentionally before these. And
I
sometimes
know,
it
it
works
just
out
didn't
and sometimes
happen.
it just, it doesn't really work that
I
way.
don't know.
But we do have a few spaces. So we're going to take on a few new people, but not as many as usual when we do
No.
a coaching enrollment.
No, last time it was like 15 to 20. And now I'm like, I don't think we can do more than 15. I just don't think
No,
we
I
can.
don't think
That's
so.
not a lot of people.
No.
Not at all. And this should be obvious, but every time we do it, we get a few people who are just submitting that form out of what I would say is like panic or fear or like, well, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this. So, okay, if you're not actually serious about doing it now, don't sweat it. We have a wait list.
Yes.
Like,
and on the wait list, you can share, hey, I'm not sure about this timing, but maybe in a few months or maybe
Yeah.
after I sort this thing out. And then we know that you're interested, but we don't have to try to make it happen right now. If you just know it's not quite right.
Yeah.
So you can join the wait list, but if you are pretty serious about this and you're thinking now might be a pretty good time, as in the next month or so to get started, definitely fill out the one-on-one coaching form when it's available.
enrollment opens,
on
please.
the 6th. We're just giving you a little heads up.
Yeah. Also, just FYI, we have you rank your readiness when you fill out the form on a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 is like, couldn't be more ready. No, I want to do it. I don't even barely need to talk to you about it. We don't really talk to people if they don't rank themselves, like honestly rank themselves like higher than like a, what, 7? I think a 7. If you're a 6 or a 5, I'm going to be like, you're not ready to talk to me.
You might just want to join the wait list.
Yeah. So, and we also have you explain why you chose that ranking. So be honest and then explain why you chose that. And then we can decide like, okay, is this actually a good time to talk or not? But sometimes we get people who fill it out and they're like a 4. And I'm like, well, no, we're not going to talk because you're clearly nowhere near ready. You got to be close to a 10.
And it's not as helpful for us to talk about all the logistics and how it works and all of that if you can't actually make this happen right now.
Yeah, you always get one person who's like, I don't have any money, but I really want to do it. And I'm like, there's a conundrum for you because this is unfortunately not a nonprofit. This is a small business being run in a pandemic and I got to feed myself and my loudmouth dog. So
Which is also why we have smaller price point options.
I mean, we have a short course.
Yeah.
If you just found us and you want to do something that's not a lot of money, check out the Passion Profile short course.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about this more, and enrollment will be officially open on Tuesday, October 6th. So think about it. Go check out the coaching page, which I'll link to in the show notes, and just brush up on what it is. Note to us as we talk about this, because now Kristen's going to have to go change this on our website because I'm talking about it. We used to call it 2 months and 5 months. I'm upping that to 6 months. There's very few people I work with for when they do like a full amount of coaching, like 12 sessions, it averages out to 6 months.
That's true.
It really does. It's 3 times the amount of coaching. And like, if you do the math, the cost is so much more cost effective when you get that much more support, because we're spreading the sessions out further by the end of it, because you just don't need as much weekly support. And so you're still getting a lot of accountability, and we're getting email. We're going back and forth over email. So, I have someone I just wrapped up with after 9 months.
Yeah, sometimes it takes that long.
Yeah. And so
it's very tailored.
And sometimes 5 is like the minimum. So I think we should change it to 6, because I think that's more of an accurate reflection of how much average time you actually spend with us when you do that level of coaching.
Definitely agree.
Just think about how much can change in 6 months. Think about what happened 6 months ago, guys. 6 months ago today, as Kristen and I are recording this, was when we all went into lockdown. And just think about how much can change in 6 months. And if you have a little bit of authority on your side, institutional authority like the Hierophant, things can change. You could become the Queen of Pentacles if you had institutional authority on your side.
Bringing it full circle.
Instead of be like the lonely kind of self-protected, defensive 5 of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't think that Spirit was trying to like do an infomercial for us. Like, I don't think the universe was like, oh, here we go. But I don't know. I can always bring it back.
We might end up being a Hierophant figure for some people who might need that support now.
We definitely are a Hierophant figure for some people. I'm not a Hierophant figure for myself.
Well, who is?
But I'm definitely that for somebody else. Yes. So anyway, that's interesting. So when we will be back? We'll be back I don't think we will be back on Tuesday.
No,
maybe we will,
Friday.
though. I don't know. I haven't decided. I don't think we will.
No expectations.
That's true. No expectations. So
we'll see you when
we'll definitely see you. If not before, we'll definitely see you next Friday for a new episode of Dear Rachel.
Okay. We'll see you then.
Okay. Bye-bye.